Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. So today we are going to do a garden tour. So real quick, we'll pop over here to the seedlings and I'll just kind of show you what we have. And I did end up getting pretty much all of the tomatoes separated. I have one variety that had like 6 in their cup that I didn't get to, but I will either separate it or I won't. So let me show you the seedlings. So we will start here. This is a volunteer tomato that looks pretty sad. And this, I believe, is St. John's wort, and I think it's the only one that has popped up. I'm a little bit sad. I hope that that is indeed what that is. There's another little baby plant. And then I think this is grass. Mugwort. A lot of these do not have anything in them. There is another mugwort. So at least I'll never need mugwort again. Thyme. Which looks suspiciously like mugwort. I wonder if that's a weed. Oh, the joys of growing in compost. Okay, so we'll skip this empty tray. And then here we have some comfrey. I have 2 plants that popped up. This one is mullein. Chamomile. And we have a couple of pepper plants here. So there's cherry and pepperoncini. This is horehound and self-heal. The horehound is really starting to take off. Look how pretty these leaves are. And we have several trays of tomatoes here. So we have tomatillos, which are not tomatoes, but close, I guess. San Marzano, Hungarian heart. And they're still kind of scrawny looking, but a lot of them are starting to take off and get bigger sets of leaves like this just in the past few days. So it probably will be this weekend or early next week when I start planting stuff. I've still got just a little bit of time. Another pepper. This is a Corno de Toro. I've got a poblano and a jalapeno. So this is green zebra tomatoes. That's the ones that I did not get separated. Oh yeah, I didn't label a lot of these. So I think that all of the tomatoes in this tray are yellow pear. I was able to get rid of about 12 of these. I sent him with work with a box of them. So hopefully we can get a few more of those rounds and I'll be down to a reasonable amount of tomatoes. So I think that these are mostly Hungarian heart. And then there is an Arroz con pollo pepper, which the Hungarian heart are great paste tomatoes. So are the San Marzano. Okay, and we're back to another tray of herbs. This is a volunteer tomato. It's likely that a lot of the volunteer tomatoes are going to be large cherry or some kind of hybrid like that. Whoops. So here is garlic chives, spearmint, which looks a little sad, but I'm sure that it will be taking over by the end of the season. Valerian. I know that this one has really taken off over the past week. I've been kind of watching it. So I really hope that it is valerian. When I looked up the seedlings, I believe that this is what the valerian looked like. And then for the St. John's wort, It might have actually been the smaller one and not the one that had like the ragged leaves on it. So I guess time will tell with those because I am not certain. Wormwood, the mugwort and wormwood are in the same family, so their seedlings definitely look alike. And then these four are oregano. This is another wormwood, but I think that that is just a weed that's coming up in there. Here we have a couple of more trays of tomatoes. We've got Cherokee Purple, a couple of large red cherry tomatoes, Marmende. I know I've got a couple of Ace 55. There's like 3 Roma tomatoes. That might be it. I've still got a good amount, and then the lavender, which I'm super pleased with this year. This is the most that I've ever had of lavender. So I'll definitely be planting some more of this, probably in the raised beds and out in the garden. With the perennials, if I don't like where they're placed, I can just dig them up and move them as the years come. Okay, so we have wrapped back around. Alright, we're over here at the berry bench, so we'll just go down the line and I'll give you a little update because we have lots of them. Okay, so we'll start right here. These two are the Chester thornless blackberries. So this one came in strong, and then this one is beginning to pop up. These two are triple crown blackberries. We have a new growth point right there. And I believe we have one coming in here too, on this other one. So that might be 4 for 4 for the blackberries. So all of these are heritage red raspberries. So we have 2. Just dig around and see if there's any new growth. So far, it looks like we have only the 2, which I'm sure will be plenty. Already you can see we have a little bit of bug damage on these. I keep reading that raspberries, they attract a lot of pest and disease, and you should keep them away from all of your other berries. So far it looks like that tracks, because I don't see a lot of holes in any of the other leaves like that. And then these two are dwarf ever-bearing mulberry trees. They recently came through and pruned everything. These are very easy to propagate. So when I was doing some research on these, I believe that they'll only get to a height of about 8 feet and up to like 5 feet wide. You can prune them to be even smaller if you want. But this one is a John's elderberry. And there's also some new growth at the bottom. And I did check it out, and I believe this one is an Adams elderberry, but I'm not sure that it made it through the winter here. Which that's probably not due to the plant. It may have just been the way that it was forced to grow. Moving on to the indigo hascap berries. These are indigo treat hascap. They're bushing out nicely. Blue jay blueberries. These two are coming in strong as well. And the Toro blueberries. So I have one of these that has come back. This one I don't think needed. But we'll still hold out hope. If nothing else, I can propagate this and we'll have more Toros. And then for the pawpaw trees, still nothing. Okay, we'll move on to the raised beds. Look at this lavender. This will be its third year. And this sage, oh my gosh, this is the one that I keep talking about, came back from broken sticks. I think I'm just gonna dig that one up and just kind of toss it. It looks like it's gonna be attracting pests. And then here is another sage, which there are holes in the leaves of this one as well, but not quite as bad. I'll have to check into that. But also, the sage is going to bloom. So to stop this, we can just pop these flowers off. Or if you want to collect the seeds from your sage, you can leave them on and just let them go to flower. I believe it does change the taste of the sage. Like it'll make it more minty, maybe, like a bitter mint. I'm not sure if that will make sense. And then our echinacea. Oh, look at our thyme here. It's going to flower. And now we're back over here to the parsley. Excuse me, we're back over here to the cilantro. So I need to come through and harvest some of these. I've grabbed it a couple of times, but I need to grab and dry some, and also that'll allow it to cut back so that it will start branching out rather than just being a stalk. If it even lasts that much longer. It's going to be 80 degrees today, so I'm pretty sure it's going to start bolting before long. And then here's another echinacea. So this one will be putting out flower shoots before long, I'm pretty sure. And mugwort. This thing is getting huge. So this is another one that I need to come out here and cut back. I'm sure it's going to start going to flower before long too. I think these are just leaves, but I'm not positive. And this is another one that when you cut it back, it branches out. And more sage that is going to flower. I like to do stuff like this in the morning times with like the sage and the basil whenever it starts going to flower at first. Just part of the morning ritual. And then I'm pretty sure that this is just some kind of tree or weed that's really in there. We'll have to get that cleaned out. I need to come through here and pull out all of these weeds and stuff and then replant. I think I have beets popping up here. Yes, maybe when I came through and broadcasted, I accidentally threw a clump of seeds this way. I'm not sure what else they could be. I guess I need to try and dig those up and disperse them a little bit. I'd really hate to have to thin them out. And then the carrots, the foliage here is getting huge. And then I did pull up one of these, this one I think, and you can see the bottom leaf there is a little bit yellow. But so far it's okay. But the probably the roly-polies in here came through and ate that. I don't plant a whole lot in here, and I noticed that when I plant my chamomile in here, that they'll kind of get that too. So I've seen that you can put potatoes and cardboard to try and attract them and keep them from eating the plants, but I'm not sure. And I think that this is the only bed that I have that problem in too, out of these raised beds. And let's see, I think that that is pretty much it that's coming up in this bed. Right now we're over here at the strawberry and greens bed. So you can see this arugula has gone to flower. Like crazy. This is another thing that you can cut the flowers off of, which I probably will at this point. It looks like a lot of it is going to flower and going to seed. And I'll just keep letting the greens grow as long as they will. And then onto the strawberries. They're starting to go to flower. Whenever they're this size and there's not very many leaves, it's best if you go ahead and just pull that flower off. I know it hurts my feelings, but that will allow it to put the energy into producing more leaves, which will allow it to produce more strawberries. So it's a little bit of hurt now, but it'll pay off later. Some more over here. I'm really going to focus on propagating the runners on these guys. I haven't been good about cutting the runners from the mother plants, which is actually kind of a drain on them. So it's best if you do cut those off. And then I just want to hop in on this. I thought that this was carrots coming up, but based on the stems here, I think that it's chamomile. That'll be really nice, but I'm not certain. And then onto this bed, there are tons of marigolds everywhere. So far, I don't think I see any of the cucumbers popping up that we planted, but we do have radishes popping up over here. So that is a ton of radishes that are clustered together. So that's another one that I'm going to try to maybe dig up a couple of those clusters and separate them out a little bit and see how that goes. Radishes are a super quick variety. You can get these in like less than a month. And I'm pretty excited about this last bed here. Let me just get focused in. I think that we have echinacea popping up everywhere, along with the marigolds, of course. But I did not start any echinacea from seed this year, so I was a little bit bummed, but oh my gosh. And on to the lilac. That's 1, 2, and then I believe that this is a little baby lilac here. And now we're looking at a lavender plant. So I don't think that I trimmed this one very well. You can still see that there are a lot of sticks coming off of it with growth on the ends. But there's tons of growth coming out of the middle still. So this would probably be a really good plant to try and propagate. Like take this whole end and chop it a few inches down and then just strip the bark and pop it in your growing medium. If you apply like a rooting hormone, that works really well too. It definitely gives them a boost. And I think that I just want to mention that I believe that I'm going to be pulling this rosemary and this sage plant, and maybe a couple others too. And I'm going to be moving them to the in-ground garden, which I'll go ahead and give you a little bit of a peek at. Okay, so we are down here where I'm going to be gardening this year. I originally thought that, we might do it in the backyard, but we're kind of keeping that a blank slate because we want to do it up a little bit nicer in the future. So it's just going to be a little bit easier for us to kind of keep it in other parts of the yard and then start out the way that we want to when we go to do that. Now, moving on. So as you can see, we have holes in the ground behind me. These kind of form a circle, so I'm going to kind of do a little bit of an interesting garden layout, it appears, this year. I don't think that I'm going to put the archway in the center of this because I think it's going to take up a lot of room. The archway itself is like, I think, 10 by 20 feet or something like that. And I think that this garden space is somewhere in the range of like 20 by 30, probably a little bit bigger than that. Still, that's a ton of space to work with, and then if I end up needing more, I can just put the arch trellis outside of the fenced-in area and figure something out. And then we're going to put the fence up and probably trellis the tomatoes up the sides of that. I think that that's going to work best. So I'll still try and do like a Florida weave method or something similar to that because I haven't trellised them very well in years past. So I just need to be more vigilant about that. That's really my main concern. But we will talk more about this garden when there is more to see. I still have tons of work to do and vines to clear out, as you can see. So we'll probably do that in like a vlog thing if you're interested in kind of seeing what goes into clearing out a garden that's right by the woods. So we will get into that on another day. But now I just kind of want to wrap around to some of the flower beds because I'm pretty excited about some of the things that have started popping up. So first off, we have this white azalea here that's popping up right next to the garden. it's getting a lot more sun now, so I think we'll see a lot more blooms, if not this year and the following years. So right now we're in the front flower beds where I had grown the tomatoes last year, the tomatoes and peppers. You see this little bunch of tomatoes? I see this bunch, but I'm sure that there are tons more throughout here. So I may end up, I probably don't need to, but I may dig some of these up and try and separate them throughout here. It just goes to show how easily these things reseed. All of these probably came from one tomato. So these are either Roma or San Marzano, more than likely. These are alliums. When this comes into full bloom, they will be purple globes. I'm so happy that these came back. I never planted these, but last year they came up out of the ground just out of nowhere. And then over here beside them, we have some peonies popping up. There's more on the other side, and they're a little farther along. We'll go down there. There they are. These will be blooming in a dark pink, it looks like. And then we have a few more over here under the bush. This is the arch trellis I was talking about, if anyone is curious. I think it's a little big for that space. Okay, you guys, well, that is going to be it for today's garden tour. I hope that you enjoyed it, and if you'd like to follow along and see more about the in-ground garden and how that goes, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Okay, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day. Bye!